Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope doing well. And today we'll be talking about a review from our boy, Scotty Boy Mendelson over at Forbes, where he has called The Rise of Skywalker the worst Star Wars movie ever. Now, many people, including myself, saw that headline and said, oh, finally Scott Mendelson has woken up. Finally, he's realized that this franchise has indeed been running the IP of Star Wars into the ground for a long time, and that this is the culmination of those events. Maybe he's realized that just how bad The Last Jedi was is what really made this film as bad as it currently is. And of course, Scott Mendelson, Scotty Boy, does not disappoint because he makes it very clear that that's not what he's saying here by this very clear statement. He says, The Rise of Skywalker is a bad movie and a miserable finale that serves no purpose. Yes, this is true. It is a terrible finale. It is a terrible movie. Objectively speaking, I've had a couple people in the comment section trying to jump in and say, no, there's no such thing as objectivity in films. Go ahead and watch a little film called The Room by Tommy Wiseau. If you can't say that film is objectively bad, then I can't help you. I can't help you wake up from the fog that is your stupidity. But there is absolutely an objective standard when it comes to film. There is both objective and subjective view when it comes to film. There are movies that I think, hey, these are well-made films, they're well shot, well edited, well put together, but I still hate them. Objective versus subjective. Objectively speaking, The Rise of Skywalker is a terrible movie. It is not well made. The plot is convoluted. All of the scenes and shots and the editing process is very convoluted as well. You're just jumping back and forth from scene to scene to scene. New information that's never fully explained is given to you. That's problematic for a film, let alone what's supposed to be the end of an entire saga, the end of a 9-film saga. The supposed Skywalker saga, which really, in reality, it has nothing to do with the Skywalkers in this film, as you can see very clearly if you actually see the film. Still not going to mention any actual direct spoilers in any of these videos unless I have spoiler on the title, but still. Scott Mendelson continues, he says, for no other purpose than to reassure adult fans of the original Star Wars that they are still the chosen ones of pop culture galaxy. And so we see the narrative that is going to be pushed by the mainstream media. They're going to either say this film is bad because it disrespects Rian Johnson, The Last Jedi, which they still, for some damn reason, respect, they for still some damn reason defend, or they will attack the fans. Now, what's amazing, Scotty Boy Mendelson, is the fact that you are going to blame the fans for this film being bad, and many others are going to do the same thing. The problem with that, though, is that if it's the fans' fault, then you insinuate that we fans, that the Phantom Menace, or whatever you want to call yourselves, again, I'm called Phantom Menace, but I'm sure there's other peoples that have problems with this movie, or even The Last Jedi, that don't even want to associate with the Phantom Menace, and hey, that's fine, you do you, boo. But if you're going to go out of your way to blame the fans, then what you are insinuating is that we have power. What you're insinuating is that we are larger than what you have been saying for the last 2 years. Because remember, when the Phantom Menace started, we were called every name in the book. We were called misogynists. We were called man babies. We were called, oh, you're just in your mama's basement. You're just cousin humping basement dwellers, is what John Campea, the king of shills, who, by the way, doesn't like this movie either, said about the Phantom Menace, said about fans that were critical of The Last Jedi. And what's amazing about all of this, though, is that they always made it clear that, oh, we're just a small vocal minority. We're just a small group of people. Well, how does a small minority, even if it's vocal, how does a small minority impact the decisions of a multi-billion-dollar corporation called Disney, called Lucasfilm? Please explain that to me, because we can't be both. We can't be a small vocal minority, but also can be the ones that affect the end of a 9-film saga. I think that we need to step back for a second and realize they did not have a plan for Star Wars. This film makes that abundantly clear. It shows us that J.J. Abrams had some idea of where he wanted to take the story, but that obviously was completely destroyed by Rian Johnson, and so he had to give us this film instead. And even when he gave us this film instead, he could have done so much more to actually just make a coherent story. He focused so much on, well, I guess I got to make the fans happy. Let me just throw fan service. Let me just throw every bit of fan service as possible at the wall and see what sticks, while still at the same time trying to tell a story about a character that no one, even after 4 years, cares about. Honestly, who out there can honestly say they care about what happens to Rey? That they actually feel something for that character, or Kylo Ren, or Finn, or any of these other side characters that really become completely in the background to this film? are given no real attention in this film whatsoever. It's all about Rey. It's all about Rey being the most powerful, being able to do anything and everything that you could ever imagine, and things that you would never imagine because they're just stupid when you actually say them out loud. It's amazing to me that even though it's right in front of them, even though these shills in the media can see very clearly that this is an objectively bad film, they can't stop taking pot shots at fans. They went after the fans when they were defending The Last Jedi, and now that they can't defend this movie because objectively they simply just can't do it, they still are going to throw in their shots saying, oh yeah, this film is bad, but let's understand why the movie's bad, because obviously those crazy fandom menacers, they are just such a large group of people, and they're the ones that are destroying cinema, and where. That's what's going on here. That's what people like Scotty Boy are doing. That's what other people in the media are doing. Anyone that has a negative review of the film is going to, at some point, most likely, especially if they're a part of a major shill corporation like Collider or one of those other places, make it very clear, oh, it's the fans' fault. It's the Phantom Menace fault. So it's all the negativity about the franchise that started with The Last Jedi and even started before The Last Jedi for a lot of people too. What it all comes down to is the fact that this sequel trilogy, this Disney trilogy, has been awful. It has been terrible. It has not been planned out from the beginning, and even the people that are still defending this film or defending The Last Jedi, even some of them can at least be honest about that. Someone that I follow on YouTube and have followed for a very long time didn't even give a grade for this film. And he actually went out of his way to try and make it basically kind of to explain that he thinks it's also the fans as well and the toxic environment of the fans. He basically badmouthed a lot of the fans in his review, and it kind of upset me because I was like, wait a minute, I've been following you for a very long time, and now you're throwing me into this random group that destroyed this movie somehow. I mean, he's trying to say that the movie was bad, but then he won't say the movie is bad. It just kind of boggles my mind. But the biggest thing, the thing that really gets to me, is the fact that even he is able to step back and say, yeah, but you know what? There was no plan. Even he, trying to defend the film in certain ways, in whatever ways he possibly can, not even giving it a grade until he talks about spoilers after he sees it a second time, even he cannot take away, cannot keep back the fact that he knows, just like anyone with a brain knows, there was no game plan for this. JJ said, let me set this universe up. I'm decent at copying ideas. Let's make a New Hope rehash and borrow a lot of the same ideas, and everyone's going to get excited, and we'll throw in a couple surprises with Han Solo, etc. And then Rian Johnson took over, and Rian Johnson said, oh, yeah, well, you know what? That sounds okay, but hey, Kathleen, I've got my own idea. And she's like, oh, I like that. Yeah, go right ahead. Doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense, seeing that this is supposed to be a trilogy, a continuation of the same story. I'll go right ahead and do whatever you want to do. Oh, I love your film so much. The fans see it and say, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. A plus B equals C. Now you're gone from A to Z, and you can't have that equal C. It's going to equal beta or gamma or whatever it is you want to do, whatever kind of equation you want to put out there. And so then, of course, they try and get Colin Trevorrow on the film, and Colin Trevorrow says, oh, well, I saw what J.J. Abrams did, so let me go ahead and continue that story and kind of ignore and look past what Rian Johnson did. And Kathleen Kennedy's like, well, you can't do that because Rian Johnson did everything that I wanted him to do, and I like him a lot, so keep on doing what he was doing. And then, of course, Trevorrow gets fired. Trevorrow still got a writing credit on this film, The Rise of Skywalker. And of course, J.J. Abrams gets brought into the picture, and J.J. Abrams says, okay, well, you trust me too, right, Kathleen? Okay, great. So I'm going to do a lot of the things that Trevorrow was probably thinking about doing, but I'm not going to totally disregard The Last Jedi. I'm going to do some fan service elements. I'm going to throw some, I might throw a little bit of shade, but I'm not going to say that it's shade, and you're just not going to figure it out because you're just, you're so empty-headed that you can't even figure that out because you obviously don't have a plan. And it just gets worse and worse. If Kathleen Kennedy does not lose her job for this film, I'm sorry, but anyone currently, Bob Iger, anyone that's in the higher ups, you're idiots. You're idiots that are keeping her on because of optics, because she's powerful, I guess, in some form or fashion. I guess she has something on you, maybe, or maybe it's just that she's a powerful woman in Hollywood and you just don't feel like being the person, the white male to fire her. I don't know what it is. I honestly don't know what it is, whether she's powerful or whether it's political. All I know is that there is no reason why she deserves to have this job. I don't care how much the original or how much the Disney trilogy has made at the box office. The fact is, you've destroyed the fan base. You have now made the fans so apathetic to your films that people are spoiling them left and right. There's been a bunch of people complaining to me on Twitter saying, oh, you spoiled the movie. You're spoiling the movie. When, you're the worst kind of person. I think to myself, okay, get off social media. I know that not everyone's going to have that understanding, but it's not like I'm going on to pages. It's not like I'm going on to someone's page that wants to see the film and saying, oh, here's a spoiler. I don't understand why they're even complaining. But I will say this much, regardless of how you feel about that point, I have never in my life seen these many spoilers for any film, especially a film this big. And many of these spoilers are not being taken down. Many of these spoilers are being kept up, and it seems to me like Disney just doesn't even care anymore, and it's obvious if you actually were to see this film. So Scotty Boy Mendelson, you can continue. You and your ilk can continue to blame the fans all you want, when in reality, the only people that really are to blame are Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson, and J.J. Abrams, the ones that are the creative heads behind it all. Of course, Bob Iger could be thrown into that mix too. If you're going to attack someone else other than those people, why not attack the people that have defended and have actually gone out of the way to change the rules of their website, Rotten Tomatoes, to protect Disney's assets, to protect this movie? And how about you look into a mirror and say, wait a minute, I'm still defending this giant multi-billion-dollar corporation. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe. Let me know your thoughts about this. Do you think that we can really blame fans for this film being bad? I think that if you're going to blame anyone, it should be the actual filmmakers. That seems to make the most logic to me. And if you have to take an extra step there, I would go to the people that have basically created this bubble of patting on the back and saying, oh, yes, Disney, like Red Letter Media is, like, oh, Disney, yeah, oh, I can't clap anymore. Oh, I don't want to offend anyone. Disney's great. Disney's great. It's just amazing. Do you think that that is the reason why maybe that is added to the egos and added to the conversation to allow for these movies, this type of movie, this terrible crap storm of a film to actually get made? Let me know your thoughts about that. And let me know your thoughts about this and all the things we talked about in the comment section below. Also, let me know, what do you think the Rise of Skywalker is going to make? According to the Wall Street Journal, the most recent estimate has the film making around $200 million this weekend. So it is opening night for the film, officially opening night. So we'll start to get some raw numbers coming in pretty soon. Can't wait to do the breakdown of this film. I think that the film's still going to be successful, but even though the film might be successful, it actually has a higher chance than previously of maybe not even reaching $1 billion. I still think it will, but man, oh man, I think the word of mouth on this is already so bad, let alone the week 1 into week 2 drop-off type of word of mouth that usually drives those second weekends down. It's not going to be good. Let me know your thoughts about that as well. Also, let me know your thoughts about everything we talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash the like button. Give us a subscribe. It helps us a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.